signed, colored, and lettered, Bullet Boy number 2 was complete. Before
Mix, match, more happy with Gain.
Try gummy vitamins from Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist recommended vitamin and supplement brand.
Before this comic is ready to be printed and added to my Bullet Boy collection, I had to draw the cover. Now, at one point, I thought that this was going to be a perfect option for issue 2. I even said as much in my last video. In my mind, showing off Bullet Boy and Avoidja's confrontation during the bank robbery made a lot of sense. But as someone pointed out in the comments, it really doesn't tell you much about what's happening without the proper context. And the more I thought about it, if a new reader was going to see this on the shelf of a comic book store, it wouldn't be immediately apparent what's happening here. While the composition is dynamic and it's pretty cool, Bullet Boy could be more prominent, and maybe some more context clues, like a vault door, would help sell the scene a lot better. I opted instead to follow in the footsteps of what I had done in the previous issue, a super heroic shot of Bullet Boy running, so that a new reader knows exactly who Bullet Boy is at a glance. However, I did try to tie it to the story a bit by having him run through the loose cash caught up in the action, hinting at the bank robbery inside. Now for what might be the most rewarding part of making a comic book, aside from finishing the art and story, of course, getting the comic printed. But when I was finally ready to get my first comic printed, I really wasn't sure where to start. I wanted my books to feel high quality, professional, but I also didn't have a lot of experience with the process. I mean, how much really went into taking these files from my computer and turning them into a physical book? I did a ton of research, and I kept coming back to one website called Mixam, a printing company that makes all kinds of stuff, including comics. I've printed thousands of books with Mixam, and I can safely say I've been extremely happy with the results. So from the beginning of working on Bullet Boy number 2, I knew where it was getting printed. And when Mixam heard that's what I planned to do, they were awesome enough to sponsor this video. As someone who had never printed a comic before, Mixam's website made the entire process super easy. It was easy to navigate, experiment with different paper options, find templates for whatever project I was looking to make. But honestly, the feature that kept me coming back before I even placed my first order was this online preview tool. After you drop your files in, you can literally flip through a digital version of your comic to double check that everything is in order and flows perfectly. For me, having that peace of mind and being able to visualize the book in all its pages was huge. And if at any time I did have questions, their 24/7 expert support was just a click away. With over 4,000 product options and eco-friendly printing practices, Mixam has something for every project. If you're ready to bring your comic to life, use my discount code Xander5 at checkout for 5% off. Use the link in the description to get started. And just like that, my order for Bullet Boy number 2 was submitted. And a few weeks later, they arrived. And when I tell you it's one of the most rewarding feelings to open a box of your own comics like it's Christmas, I really mean it. This now completed second comic takes Bullet Boy from a single issue superhero another step toward one day being a full series. It's a story about doing the right thing, reminding us that helping others is important, even if we don't directly benefit from it. You can read Bullet Boy number 2 right now, either digitally or physically. And after you read it, I'd love to hear what you think, especially about the ending. It is absolutely insane that all these years later, I'm adding a finished comic with the number 2 on it to my Bullet Boy collection. And you better believe I'm sending one to Papa Fred as well. As for the next issue, I think I've got a pretty good idea of where we're headed. If you can't wait for more Bullet Boy and want to learn more about my superhero universe, watch this video right here. See ya in the next one. Is it possible to enjoy a commercial? Now I know what you're thinking. Commercials are either bad, boring, off-putting, or all of the above. But when I was a kid, I'd be watching cartoons, the ones that inspired me to create my own superheroes, and every once in a while, a certain kind of commercial would catch my eye, and sometimes actually get me excited. I'm talking about toy commercials, the ones that take action figures and bring them to life by creating a story, adding cool effects, and giving us a small glimpse at the kinds of adventures we could have with our favorite superheroes at home. Now, trying my best to put the nostalgia aside, these were advertisements for toys that may or may not have really worked on me. But I thought one day, maybe my own superheroes could come to life in that same way. The idea of my very own superhero Bullet Boy having his own toy, let alone starring in his own TV commercial, always seemed like it would be impossible. I mean, what kind of toy would he be? How could a commercial bring his world to life? And would the final result be worth the effort? Today, we're gonna find out. My plan is simple. First, I'll need to make the toy that will be used to film the commercial. Next will be the challenge of creating a short but
Mix up! We're trapped by dishes!
Don't worry, they've got John Power Suds. It traps, locks, and removes 99% of grease, so it doesn't get passed from dish to dish.
Ooh, clean and stacked.
Like ducks in a row, John Power Suds.
exciting story. And lastly, I'll have to film everything and edit it into a commercial that doesn't feel like an ad, but almost as if this commercial could have been slotted between any of my favorite TV shows or even an animated show of his very own. But before any of that, I needed to make a toy. So what kind of toy would Bullet Boy be? He's a young, athletic hero with super speed, a cool super suit, and a real drive to stop bad guys. Now, of course, the first idea that came to mind was an action figure. After all, that seemed like the obvious choice. It's what all my favorite superheroes had on TV, but unlike the big companies that made those toys, a relatively small creator like me has no chance of meeting the criteria of toy makers at that level. At first, this whole thing felt like a major roadblock, but of course, all hope wasn't lost. A few months ago, I had done a drawing of a bunch of my characters that kind of reminded me of the cuter stuffed versions I'd seen of other superheroes, like this Spider-Man plush I picked up at Universal a couple years ago. Immediately, it all started to fall into place. Bullet Boy in a cute, stylized form would be perfect. I even asked you guys what you thought, and the feedback I got was pretty good. Now, of course, the commercials I grew up with, the ones I'm trying to recreate, never featured plush toys in this style, but honestly, I think it can work. I did a ton of research on what the right shapes and sizes for this little guy would be, and the more I looked around, the more I realized just how vast the world of stuffed animals really is. Some are really small, some are really big, others are sleeping, and others are just straight up horrifying. In order to best plushify Bullet Boy, I started by referencing plushes I thought seemed most acceptable for a superhero like this one. Instead of having him in a fixed pose, like sitting or lying down, I figured, hey, since he's always on the move, it'd make more sense to have him standing up, ready for action. But the real key to making this design work was the expression. A lot of plush toys have this blank expression, a blank stare. And while that's fine for some, Bullet Boy wears a mask, and you can only see his eyes. So I thought it'd be fun to make him look like he's smiling underneath. I mean, he's gonna be a soft, cuddly plush after all, and I think this happier expression fits his personality overall. Now, I've never tried to design anything like this before, so while I did my best to anticipate any design problems for the final product by drawing a full turnaround of the design, I figured I'd inevitably run into an issue somewhere, especially with Bullet Boy's hair, because the hair is a pretty big part of his design, and if I couldn't get it to look right, I might regret this whole thing. Even then, I did my best to keep the colors simple and leave out as much shading as I possibly could. While it didn't take long to find a manufacturer I could work with, turning this 2D drawing into a real 3D object was quite the challenge. Just like I expected, the hair gave us the most trouble. And when we really started pushing the limits, I did tons of sketches to help the toy designers give Bullet Boy's hair the